Well, President Peter, Rotarians and guests, it's our privilege today to hear from Ray Grigg. Ray, as you've heard, was formerly, he comes from Victoria, which he's overcome through extensive service in South Australia. He was the head of the Holden operation here for many years, and since leaving Holden, he went on and became president of the RAA, then president of the Australian Automobile Association. He's involved in quite a large number of external matters, including his present gig as mayor of the Town of Walkerville. But today he's talking to us in the context of his role as chairman of the newly amalgamated board of Bedford Phoenix, which is now the second largest disability organisation in Australia, and I have the privilege of serving with Ray as a member of the board of directors of that organisation. And Ray's going to address a little bit about Bedford Phoenix and where it's going, but in particular about the implications of the National Disability Insurance Scheme for the disability sector. Would you please welcome Ray Grigg?
Good afternoon, and thank you, Stephen, for those very kind words, and it's certainly a pleasure to be here to address the Rotary Club, and on this particular day of Sir Eric's 91st birthday, it really is an honour. I've known Sir Eric for some time, and it couldn't have worked out better. I'm sure that many of you here today will be familiar with either Bedford or Phoenix Society, or perhaps both. I've got to make sure I work this properly. You might also be aware that we are now, as Stephen said, Bedford Phoenix Incorporated, the second largest Australian disability enterprise in Australia. Before I talk further about this development and the future of supported employment, or as the government calls them, Australian disability enterprises, I'd like to set the scene a little here. Let's remind ourselves, in Australia over 4 million people have a disability. That's 1 in 5 people. 2.1 million Australians of working age, which is from 15 to 64 years, have a disability. And only 40% of people with a disability are employed in the workforce, compared to 80% of the general population. Obviously, disability is a very broad term. Approximately 3.4 million Australians have a physical disability, and nearly 700,000 have an intellectual or developmental impairment. We must also remind ourselves that 90% of disabilities are not physically obvious, and that 45% of Australians with disability live near or below the poverty line. We have come a long way, a very long way, since the sheltered workshop models of the 50s and 60s. And now, in more recent times, we offer far more tailored and individually focused services. And we are not alone in this. We are one of 600 ADEs, or Australian Disability Enterprises, in Australia. It's clear that providing meaningful and high-quality employment and services is utterly crucial to meet the needs of this significant proportion of the population, to enhance both the lives of people with a disability and the people who care for them and are very close to them. We know firsthand that providing real work and social opportunities, quality training and a sense of purpose has flow-on effects into the broader community. But we are now heading into another time of great change, because by mid-2018, the disability sector in Australia will look vastly different to how it does today. The National Disability Insurance Scheme, the NDIS, will be fully rolled out in South Australia and will offer earlier intervention programs and far more individualised choices, changing the disability funding model and seen entirely. By the time the NDIS is fully implemented, it is anticipated that 460,000 people with disability across Australia, including 33,000 in South Australia, will be participants. At the turn of the decade, the disability support and employment landscape will have been radically transformed. Service providers will need to offer people with disability greater control to choose and elect the support and services they want and need. We will need to offer diverse, modern and tailored programs to remain relevant and viable. To be competitive, we will need to be employers of choice. So why did we amalgamate, and how does this make us more prepared for the NDIS? Both Bedford and Phoenix were trusted disability organisations with proud, very proud histories, spanning more than 70 years in our state. Through discussions about the NDIS, we realised the benefits of amalgamating would create a more competitive single organisation, and that together we could offer significant reach across South Australia. We had an amazing skill set and passionate, experienced staff. We could offer a great mix of services in modern facilities. We offered a more secure future, and we could offer greater value for money. And we decided that as one organisation, we could reaffirm our position as national leaders in the disability service. So what do we look like now? Well, we have a presence in 16 sites across South Australia. Just make sure we roll out. No, it hasn't turned. Need to go a bit further. Yeah, now we're right. We have a presence in 16 sites across South Australia, with 7 regional sites from Port Lincoln to Port Pirie to Mount Gambier. Our metropolitan reach spans from Lonsdale in the south to Elizabeth in the north, with strategic locations across the city. We now offer people with disability the choice to move between roles and sites, including from regional to metropolitan areas. It is well known that improving access to transport and services, as well as education, training and support, are integral in providing opportunities for people with disability to access employment. We also offer a broad range of jobs in hospitality, horticulture, landscaping, packaging, furniture assembly, manufacturing, timber processing and administration. And we offer real, unique and relevant internal and external training to support these vocations. Our hospitality employees gain real skills in our internal cafes and conference facilities, and we also run an extensive and popular mobile hospitality service. We have 2 cafes off-site in Theberton and Brompton, and aside from daily catering, last month alone, and Stephen will appreciate this, we made and distributed some 20,000 handmade bickies to the funeral industry across the city. That's 300 kilograms of biscuits. In our packaging area, we work almost exclusively with national and global brands, from Haigh's to Qantas to Coca-Cola, and in manufacturing with Bunnings at their 217 Bunnings stores, and with our ready-to-assemble melamine furniture range right across Australia and now in New Zealand. We want our employees to work with the brands they know and recognise, and we believe this adds value to their employment experience. Our grounds maintenance and horticultural team, known as APG or Adelaide Property and Gardens, provide exceptional services to councils and major businesses across the city, including Salisbury Council and Canberra Investment Corporation, the people behind the award-winning Lightsview development. And we are proud to provide valid employment and horticultural training to people with disability across metropolitan Adelaide, Mount Gambier, Millicent, Port Lincoln, Port Pirie and Kadina. But what sets us apart is the extra support we provide. This is the unfunded support, the value added that sits outside of our funding model, including the regular family network meetings we offer for carers and families to share experiences and discuss disability sector issues. The exceptional internal training we offer to our employees, with over 40 tailored in-house courses ranging from cyberbullying, L-plate test support and money handling. External nationally accredited certificate level training we provide to some 200 people a year, with a 95% completion rate and a high number of graduates going on to employment or further study. Accommodation services, including supported and independent housing, providing to more than 160 people across Adelaide. The Inspiring Day Option Centres, which we run in 4 locations in South Australia, providing activities and lifestyle support to over 100 people with more severe and higher needs, as well as respite for carers. Another is our exceptional School to Work program, providing tailored work experience programs to over 200 school kids each year through some 30 schools across Adelaide. Our model is to provide pathways from school into skilled and relevant employment, and where possible into open employment. We are excited about the future, and we are determined to ensure the enrichment of our services to meet the needs of people with disability, and determined to maintain our reputation as industry leaders within the exciting and evolving NDIS framework. But before I go any further, I'd like to show you a brief video from some of the 1,400 people we support, talking about the amalgamation and what it means to them.
It's a first time, actually, for the new year. Business as usual, but we're looking forward to the evaluation of what it brings.
Everyone gets on really well, and because of all the new businesses, people with disabilities will have a lot more opportunities to have more skills. We have the opportunity to get more work in and meet other people, so I'm very excited about us joining together.
I think for the opportunities that it's got to give people at Phoenix to learn about what we do and about our career. Getting bigger and stronger and meeting more people. I'm really excited about the amalgamation because it brings the groups together, makes us a fairly sizable organisation, creates a lot of new opportunities for resourcing and some fantastic opportunities for the employees as well.
I think it would be good, yeah, to meet more people.
I think we could do stuff as well, have more training.
Give people the opportunity to expand on what they already know and explore other opportunities. Yeah, everyone decided that they will be going up, that they are going to do it better.
It's going to be exciting. We're going to have new people, different jobs to do, and we're really good.
I'm really excited about the amalgamation. We've been at the Phoenix sites a few times, and we're really excited about working more closely with Phoenix and having some cafes up and running.
More people have more opportunity to wherever they actually want to work.
We have a lot of new people coming in, and we have a lot of new stuff coming, and it's so great.
We can incorporate all of our skills and knowledge and resources to help people and the community.
With the amalgamation of Bedford and Phoenix, we at Phoenix Connect will have a stronger story to tell while we fundraise for the two organisations. We will be a much stronger organisation under your awareness.
I think it's great that the two brands come together. I think it lifts the profile of disability organisations throughout South Australia, and it gives Bedford Phoenix a position to move forward and help more people in the future.
Phoenix, in Bedford, in Bedford, includes any workforce who have disabilities. I think it's very exciting. Big organisation in South Australia, with the NDIS coming on board, a big network of people. I think there'll be hopefully further opportunities for us to grow our business and grow our people.
I am excited about Bedford and Phoenix to work together as teamwork and Town of Walkerville.
As you can see, the amalgamation has been met with much enthusiasm, and this reflects the 94% yes vote that Phoenix received from its members in October last year as they voted approval of the process, and the unanimous vote made by the Bedford board a week later. However, while we are excited and the future looks stronger for us in the NDIS context, we do rely on community support just as much as ever. We still, as a not-for-profit organisation, need to raise significant fundraising revenue to continue to offer the best support and opportunities we can through our lotteries, events such as the Big Barbecue, which we hold in this facility, and the Big Battle, which we hold in the Wine Centre, and with generous corporate partnerships. We are able to sustain our point of difference and continue to offer the meaningful extras. We are not just employers. We offer lifestyle, a social community and a sense of belonging. We look at each individual's needs and provide a range of services with one aim in mind: to improve opportunity, to improve confidence, and to improve skills, in short, to change lives. And most importantly, what Bedford Phoenix do every day is not only a good thing to do, it is economically and socially critical. If people with a disability do not have support from a place like Bedford Phoenix, then they are usually at home. And if they are at home, their parents or carers cannot work. So we then have two people at home on government pensions, not buying goods and services, not using public transport, and developing significant physical and mental health issues that further burden the health system. We recently assisted a PhD student looking at the economic value of day options activities and determined that for every dollar invested in the services provided equated to $2.64 of expanded economic value to society. And so I ask you to think about Bedford Phoenix and help create greater awareness for this unique and significant South Australian organisation. Keep in mind that with 1,400 employees, 400 people in receipt of other support, and some 320 support staff, we are a significant South Australian enterprise, and we believe one we can all be very proud of. Thank you, and I invite you to ask any questions that you may.
Well, thank you, Ray. Is there any questions from members of the club? Craig.
Thank you, Ray. In my former life at SANFL Hospital, we had an arrangement with garden people, whatever their name was.
APG?
Yeah, and it was very successful. And well over 10 years, I don't know if it's still going, but I'd like to say how much time I was there, it was a very successful arrangement. But on an unrelated matter, I was driving down Springbank Road the other day and I saw the Bedford building there, which has been there for many years, but it looked vacant and unloved. I just wondered what was happening there.
Actually, there's still a lot of work going on there, and but one of the things that we're doing now with the sites that we have before us, the 16 sites, as I mentioned, throughout South Australia, where before with Bedford we were going for outside storage in a number of activities where we couldn't, at Panorama, say for instance, we couldn't store a lot of our goods and services that we have been producing. We can now, with the Phoenix sites, we have a significant amount of open space for us to to go into, and we're currently doing a complete assessment now of our facilities and how we can better arrange before, and Stephen would well know this, during our due diligence, we identified we could get to well over $2 million in savings by amalgamating between the two companies, and part of that was some of the storage facilities and a number of other activities where we've got significant economic value out of the amalgamation.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth adding that one of the benefits of amalgamation is that the company has the capacity to actually meet major commercial orders. So we do all the packaging for Pernod Ricard, Coca-Cola, do all the furniture for Bunnings in Australia and New Zealand and so on. And so a lot of that requires a large organisation to be able to move orders around so that you can actually meet deadlines and keep people busy in a more efficient way. So it has been very beneficial in that respect.
And we do have a facility in New South Wales, because we really need to get onto the East Coast, particularly for delivery like with Coca-Cola and Bunnings. Having this facility in Sydney, it's now been operating for about 2.5, 3 years, and it's just expanding now. Every month goes by, there's more work going through that facility, and now we're looking at Melbourne as another area that we maybe should be linking into.
David.
Yeah.
I was somewhat stunned by your statistics that 1 in 5 have a disability. The other day I heard that more than 50% of Australians have a mental illness. It seems to me that there are obviously some overlaps, but at grassroots level, that suggests to me that there's something very wrong within our society, that so many people are either by disability or mental health issues.
Yeah.
Are those statistics replicated around the world? In other words, do other communities have these sorts of numbers? And if so, surely that must be giving us an awful lot of concern.
Well, it certainly gives us concern. I can honestly say I couldn't tell you whether it's the same in other parts of the world. We do participate in some international conferences. I haven't got that specific detail with me today, but I can certainly get that and pass it on to you.
Peter.
Ray, just a quick comment and a question. Comment is, with two brands with such emotional involvement in them, I have to say that the board and members should be applauded for taking the direction that they have. Uniting in your joint causes is obviously very powerful. Which brings me to the question, was there an intake of breath in the bureaucracy of NDIS when all of a sudden they were dealing with a much bigger organisation?
Can I just touch on your first point, because you raised a critical issue, and one we're grappling with in the board at the moment. Do we continue with two brands, or a combined brand, or one brand? And last board meeting we went through, we've gone through a heck of a lot of analysis, and it came down to the point where we believe we should just have, there's two options, one brand or a joint brand, but not two specific brands. And so from that point of view, we need to get on and decide that, and that's a matter for decision in about 2 weeks' time. And as you can imagine, our board is made up of 6 past Bedford board members and 4 past Phoenix board members, and there's a lot of emotional attachment to both brands, but we've got to look at it on facts and data and make the right decision. We can still use both brands if we brand them as products, but as an overall brand in the marketplace, we need to decide whether it's one or two, a joint. Now, I've talked about that and forgotten what you said relative to the ability to deal with the federal government. It's interesting because we're certainly a major player now, where we were one of many before, but now certainly we've just had the head person of the disability sector from Canberra down, and he addressed our board, and along with a lot of our management team, on where NDIS stood, and it's still a hell of a long way to go, but certainly our input into where it goes is being very well respected and looked at and taken into account.
It's great for an old man to see what's happened. I remember the old Anti-Tuberculosis Society that started off way back in the 40s, I think. I remember meeting the Reverend Jenkins and having lots of talks with him and most of the Bedford industries. And my best memory, of course, is winning a motor car in about 1978.
I hope it was a Holden.
I still, for then, I forever bought every ticket you've ever issued.
Yep.
I put a permanent purchase order in, and but it's great to see that what started in the old church on the corner of George Road and Goodwood Road has become this colossus.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Thank you, Ray. I've got a certain problem with the conversation. You mentioned 40% of the relative people were employed. I was wondering what percentage was employed through the kind of business that you have?
Through?
Through Bedford Phoenix, that kind of organisation. Of the 40% employed.
There's only about under 50% of people who would be eligible to work with a company like Bedford Phoenix that is able to find work. That's one of the great tragedies. There's still a lot of people who are unable to find work. We've been limited in the past, pre-NDIS, by government caps on funding directly to organisations like Bedford. With NDIS, the individual gets funded, and the individual will then have the ability to shop around, and so there will be so all individuals that have the requisite disability will then be able to go into the market and find services. This is particularly relevant in areas like country South Australia, where people who've got serious disabilities in the country, where they don't have any organisations really close at hand, have a real problem in trying to access services. So the NDIS will be a big advantage for those sorts of people.
Yeah. Currently, we support probably about 60 people which are not funded by the federal government. And with NDIS, as Stephen said, each person now will get an allocation of funds, and that's why we need to, as I said, to be really active and provide the services for their needs as they move forward.
Would you please thank Ray for his address?